everyone, and hello sir, my name is Vivian Vanessa with student number B1024-20104. I'm a student from Management International Class Department in Universitas Sejongpura. So the purpose of this video is I want to explain about one of a topic of HRM lecture, namely theories of motivation and their application in organization of a risk analysis. So here it is. Okay, first we'll talk about the definition of motivation itself. So according to three experts, I will define them one by one. The first one is according to Locke. Motivation is a pleasurable or positive emotional state resulting from the appraisal of one's job experiences. And according to David and Andreas, motivation can be understood as a cognitive decision-making in which the intention is to make the behavior that is aimed at achieving a certain goal through initiation and monitoring. And according to Centrock, motivation involves the processes that energizes, directs, and sustain behavior. And in my opinion, motivation is a desire that pulls us to act. It is initiates of us in doing something, in keep maintaining the goal-oriented behavior. So I can say that motivation will always remind us about why we start this activity and how we survive to continue doing this kind of activity when we are facing our down situation, so the goal still can be achieved well. I find this topic because Sir sent it to us, and by reading this article, I acknowledge that the importance of motivation from every employee when working is important to be concerned by the employer, since it will directly affect the performance to the employee itself and also for the company indeed. And employer can do several things, such as giving reward to the best employee of the month to improve the motivation of every employee in the company. And this topic also tell me about the understanding of motivation, then the risk if employee lack of motivation. And also this article tell me about the importance about motivated employee in the workplace. The one that wrote this paper is this research is Ruben Mbadubi, and he did this research, I think, is to make a paper that Mike for fulfilling his study for the School of Management in China. And the detailed purpose of this article is that Ruben tries to help the organizations with suggestions to cultivate conducive atmosphere and relationships for employees to work under and to foster positive attitudes towards their work. And this research tells me about the theories of motivation and how they are used to inspire employees to develop and drive achieving the goal of organizations. This research also tells me about the importance of motivation in organizations and job satisfaction in achieving the objective of every organization. And the last but not the least, this research tell me about the risk of organizations operating without any purpose of motivation toward its employees. The aim of the study is to compare and contrast the theories of motivation and how they are used to inspire employees to develop the drive to achieve. And for organization itself, this research can help those organizations with some suggestions that the writer has already given to cultivate conducive atmospheres and relationships for employees to work under and to foster positive attitudes towards their work. For the introduction itself, Ruben Mbadubi has already explained that motivation plays a key role in driving employees toward achieving their goals, achieving the organizational goals, or even can achieving a certain extent the dreams of their nations. So there are many theories here that is related directly to the job satisfaction. There are content of theories, process theories, and contemporary theories. This article also includes Maslow hierarchy of need theories, Herzberg Multifactor Hygiene theories, or we know as two-factor theory, and also there is algebra existence. There is relatedness and growth theory, and the last one we have McClelland's need theory, and the theories that categorized according to their definitions and purpose, but critical analysis reveal that they are actually all linked. So all of them are actually will lead us to serving the satisfaction for the employees in our company. Next, I will talk about the motivation according to Locke and also David Undergast. According to Locke, he defined motivation as a pleasurable or positive emotional state resulting from the appraisal of one's job experiences. And according to David and Undergast, motivation can be understood as a cognitive decision-making in which the intention is to make the behavior that is aimed at achieving a certain goal through initiation and monitoring. Okay, I have already explained some definition of motivation according to some experts, but you may still wonder about how can we understand the underpinning of motivation. So, in my perspective, in understanding the underpinnings of motivation, we have to feel the existence of the motivation first, because only read the understanding will not work much if we don't feel the existence from ourselves. So we have to find what is our motivation, then we feel the existence of this motivation, so that we can truly feel the after effect of the motivation existence in our work life. Maybe before we have motivation, we are tired and we are lazy to go to the office, but after we find what is our motivation, we are more excited to go to the office. So in working our job, we will not feel so heavy. So the job will be much easier when we have our motivation. Okay, the next topic is about job satisfaction. According to Kumar and Singh, job satisfaction, or the lack of thereof, is dependent on the employee's perception of the degree to which his work delivers the things that he desires about how well the outcomes are met, or the expectation perhaps even exceeded. So regardless of the actual circumstances and situation, job satisfaction is an emotional response that cannot be seen because it is only can be inferred. And according to Zehan, Zeb, Rashid, and Amir, they actually had the same view about job satisfaction. They define it as a sensation employees have about their work environment and their expectation toward work. Next, I will explain about the theory of motivation according to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Content theories of job satisfaction revolve around employees' needs and the factors that bring them a reasonable degree of satisfaction. So there are 5 stages in the hierarchy. There are psychological needs, safety and security needs, social needs, esteem needs, and also self-actualization needs. And Maslow's hierarchy of needs forms the basis of theories that try to explain the job satisfaction. Meanwhile, according to Smith and Cronje, the way Maslow theory is explained relies on the fact that people want to increase what they want to achieve in their life, and their needs are prioritized according to their own importance, because everyone's priority is different. This theory can be applied in an organization because it is, I think, a norm of a value in this life. So as employer, we can give our employee wages for them to buy food and also to buy their necessary things in their life, or we can provide our employee with some meals during their break time in the office, and we can also guarantee the safety of our employee. We can create company policies that needed to be obeyed by every employee, and also as employer we can support the relationship between every employee in our office, and so every individual in the company can respect each other, and also we can reward, and because it is an incentive for our employees, so we can motivate them to work well in the future. Okay, next is about Hexberg theory, or we know as Multifactor Hygiene. It came from a study conducted among accountants and engineers to determine what makes an individual feel bad or good about their job. And regarding to the satisfiers, there were 5 features of work that bring satisfaction, namely first is achievement, second recognition, third is the job itself, the fourth one is responsibility, and the fifth one is advancement. And the one that give bad performance is first institutional politics, the second one is the management approach, the third one is supervision, the fourth one is pay, the fifth one is relationships at work, and the sixth or the last is working condition as factors that may demoralize employees. So this theory is trying to create opportunities for personal growth, enrichment, and recognition among their employees. And employees should be promoted after completing certain stages of their career and should receive recognition for special achievements. And I can apply this kind of theory when the employee in my company achieves something good or reach the goals of their job or even beyond the goals. So I would like to give them reward, maybe in the form of more money or a vacation ticket as the example. And additionally, employee that has potential to get higher position also will be promoted to get a better position in a company. And also the policy in a company must make by considering the existence of the employee, whether they will be comfortable or not with the policy that has already made. And also I will give wages that equal to their work as the hygiene. Next, I will explain about the theory of Mcgregor. So, in Mcgregor's X and Y theories, there are two categories of employee based on two sets of assumptions. The X group is a negative perspective of people, which says people can have an inherent dislike for work and avoid it as possible. Because of this, they must be coerced, controlled, directed, and threatened with punishment to make them work. They prefer to be those employees prefer to be directed and avoid responsibility. They have a little ambition and want a security. Meanwhile, the theory of Y assumptions take the opposite view. The mental and physical inputs expended at the workplace are equated and par with those rest or play. I can apply this theory when I were being a manager for a company. I actually will prefer to be the Y theory side because the work of employee will be more flexible, since actually the people like the job, and the things that I need to do is I will listen to every employee voice. So the leadership style, I think it will be more democratic. Okay, next we move to the McClelland's need achievement theory. So McClelland's need achievement theory stated that some people are driven to success through seeking personal achievement rather than reward themselves. So the theory is related to Maslow hierarchy of needs, but reduces Maslow 5 categories of need to 3 only. So they reduce it to be relatedness, being esteem and social needs. Then the growth being, it is related to the self-actualization, and also the existence, which is related to the security of psychological needs. I can apply this theory when my employee in my company has already achieved the goals of their job. So the example is from the marketing department. A has already achieved the goals by selling 500 pieces of snacks in a month. So as the reward, I will give her or him bonus for the wages. So the wages is actually only around 3 million rupees per month, but because she or he has already achieved that kind of goals, so they will achieve around 3,500,000 rupees as the wages, and also the bonus that she or he deserve as the reward because they have already achieved the goal of their job. Okay, I have already explained about the theory of motivation according to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, according to Hertzberg's two-factor theory, or we know as Multifactor Hygiene, and also the McClelland's needs achievement theory. Here I will clarify about the differences between them. In Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the classification is divided into 5 levels of satisfaction that require to be met. The higher level means the higher effort that we need to give out to meet our satisfaction. Meanwhile, in the Hertzberg two-factor theory, it is divided the motivation of employee into two. They are motivator and hygiene, which needed to be balanced. And the last one is McClelland's need achievement theory, which saying that reward and achievement from a company has a very big impact for the employee, since not everyone can give reward to themselves. So that is it. Okay, move to the next topic. Is about equity theory. Equity theory is a process theory explain how satisfaction comes about as opposed to what causes motivation. The equity theory postulates that employee will weigh their input into a job against the output they receive from it. So the more the rewards, so the greater their satisfaction will be. Regarding this theory, employees who perceive that they receive more output from their job than what they put into them will experience job satisfaction. Certain aspects of the job itself also shape how an employee perceives it. After equity theory, we have value percept theory. So this theory is saying that employees in organizations hold different value systems. Therefore, individuals' values determine the satisfaction of their job. Based on this theory, their satisfaction levels will also differ. The assumption is that the difference between expectation and what is received can bring dissatisfaction depending on how important the job is to the individual itself. So the potential problem with this theory is that there is a possibility of a relationship between what people desire and what they consider important. Okay, next we will talk about the Fromm expectancy theory. It defines that behavior is a product of choices that are available to be prioritized. The idea is to derive dissatisfaction and minimize the dissatisfaction in employees. Individual factors such as personality and their skill can determine the performance of the employee that they give out. And valence, instrumentality, and expectancy are 3 things that are related to the motivation of employees. So the higher they give the effort to perform their job, so the higher the motivation will be. Next, we have Porter-Lawler model. So this model can give details of the fiber relation that exists between job performance and attitudes, which perfectly defines managers. The model also touches on the assumption of human behavior. The deductions assume that individual behavior is influenced by both internal and external factors, rational and make own choices to their behavior, since we know that every person have their own goals, have their own desire and also needs, and therefore individuals can decide between alternative behavior that they have. Okay, next is about the risk suffered by organization from the demotivated employees. So there are operational risk, personal risk, reputational risk, environmental risk, health risk, and also financial risk. The operational risk consists of absenteeism, of poor quality work, and also toxic work environment. And the personal risk is the desire of organization to keep their staff for longer periods of time. And reputational risk, it is the dissatisfaction felt by the employee can easily spread out by the mouth of the customer or even the employee itself, which can drive to the bad reputation of the company. And the fourth one is environmental risk. Unsatisfied employee can't do their work maximally, so as example they will give bad customer service. That also somehow can harm the environmental around the company. And the fifth one, we have health risk. The employee who dislike and demotivated can be stressed and not focused in doing their task. So all levels in the organizations are actually responsible for the safety of risk in the company and help with avoidance for the health risk. And the last one is financial risk, which could comes from the economic circumstances. Problem that make the financial of the company become worse, and it actually can directly affect the business operation. So the business will experience difficulty in operating the business, and if the employee demotivated, so there is a possibility they will leave the company because of the financial distress that experienced by the company on that day. Next is about the importance of motivation in the workplace according to Perry and Hondekham. So, according to them, the individuals desire to perform and provide services to customer with the mandate to do good is enough factor to motivate. Performance at work is related to the employee's pay, of which the employee may not have control of the reward as it is internal thing. And apart from the rewards itself, there are other factors that are external, such as promotion at work, security of the job, salary investment, increment, that may give meaning to employees' motivation. Meanwhile, according to the Young G, motivation have effect on employees as individuals to achieve and as well as ability to be innovative because they believe in themselves, which will benefit the organization to succeed. For me, the importance of motivation in the workplace is very crucial to be concerned by every employer in every company. Why? It is because when an employee has motivation, it will boost their desire to do their job, even though when they are feeling down, when they are feeling lazy or tired to do so. But if they have motivation, it will keep them awake and also will keep maintaining their goal-oriented behavior. So motivation plays a very important role for employee in a company. So the example of motivation that can be given for the employee is like compensation when they have already give their best effort to do their job, or when they have extra time in the office, so they deserve a certain amount of dispensation for them, a bonus for them as a reward. So when they got that, it will motivate them to do the same thing. It doesn't mean that we are as the employer force them to do extra job, but it will only motivate them to keep doing their best in their job. The conclusion of the study that conducted by Ruben and Badubi is that motivation is very important. It's very important in an organization, whether in financial or in non-financial form. A leader can choose to use the theory that the writer has already stated in the article for their organization, according to which theory that suits the best in driving them to the satisfaction of employees. Leader has to realize that employee needs a platform to give a voice as one of a way that motivated them. And besides that, reward and promotion is also can be used for the alternative to motivate the employees in the company. A success of organization always have a good and motivated employee behind the successness. So the employee who work diligently and positively, it means that they have a very good motivation. I have already watched 4 videos. The first video is spoken by Jim Riley, which talk about the motivation theory by Maslow's hierarchy. There are 5 levels of human needs which make the company has to give incentive for the employees so that they can meet their needs. The hierarchy is psychological, safety, social, esteem, and self-actualization. The psychological can be represented by acceptable pay, and the safety can be represented by job security. Social can be represented by working in a team. Esteem can be represented by trust, and also the last one is self-actualization, that can be represented by challenging work. Some critics also given toward this theory because some people think that this theory is not realistic since everyone needs is different. The second video The speaker is Easy MBA. It is about the three theory of motivation. First is Maslow's hierarchy needs, which represent the 5 needs of human being. Every need has certain priority. After basic needs satisfied, that individual will seek for the higher needs. The various level of needs are overlapping. If one need disappear, the other stands still. The second one is Hertzberg motivation or hygiene theory comes up with two categories of factor. They are hygiene and motivation factor. And the third one is Mcgregor theory X and Y. The theory X is the negative assumption side and the Y side is the positive assumption. So besides that, we also have the theory of Z. It comes from Japan, and from this video I get a better understanding about the theory of motivation. Okay, the third one, this video is made by Mr. Simplify that talk about the expectancy theory of motivation by Fromm. According to Fromm, expectancy, valence, and instrumentality affect the motivation. Expectancy can be counted by this formula here. Motivational force equal to expectancy times instrumentality times valence. So here motivational force is a level or degree of motivation. So expectancy is commonly used to understand and manage employee motivation, not only for organization, but actually this kind of theory can be applied in our daily life. But the advantages is it is easy to use, and the advantages is the models are oversimplistic, and it actually doesn't take external factors into account. Last video is made by Mr. Simplify also, which talk about Hertzberg two-factor theory of motivation. The first factor is called motivation, the one that motivates people to work harder, and the example is like achievement, growth, and responsibility. And the second factor is called hygiene. It is essential factor that demotivate people when they're not present. The example is like salary, company policies, and status. So that's the end of my video. This topic about motivation of employee, also the risk analysis, is very important to be learned, and I get a better understanding about what is motivation. I get a better understanding about the risk that will be faced by organization if they have demotivated employee, and also I learned about the importance of motivated employee, about how big the impact and also the effect if the employee in our organization have a very well motivation when they work. So I can say that this topic is very useful for me, and that's all. Thank you very much for watching.